I didn't realize because we're talking about Licorice Pizza, but we got Dazed and Confused running because it's kind of cut from the same cloth.
The you got who did you spy in there?
Oh well, yeah, you got Ben Affleck, and then I didn't realize Parker Posey was in it either.
Oh yeah,
because like I saw this movie like when it came out, and I've seen it like since then, but it's been a while, and so like. Parker Posey wasn't really anything yet. She kind of got her thing going a couple years after.
I used to watch Siskel and Ebert all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
And I found out about this while watching Siskel and Ebert, and I remember they kept talking about Parker Posey in like the episode they were talking about. So that's kind of like the first time I like heard about her.
Yeah, I kind of like noticed her like a couple years after this. When she became like the indie movie queen or whatever, But I remember Dazed and Confused. It's like it's the 70s. It's supposed to be the 70s, made in the 90s. And watching it now, it's like all I see is the 90s. Like very little of the 70s is coming through, but like the 90s is loud and clear.
You're so right. Same. It's kind of like the thing we mentioned when we were doing the Star Wars episode. It's like no matter when you're trying to make your movie. Your era like creeps in.
Yeah, Star Wars they probably did like the best job of keeping the era out, but it's still there. It's there, but like
it's like why does that guy have mutton chops down like?
Yeah,
this one very 90s. What if somehow you could do like a marathon? You do like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood '69. You do Licorice Pizza 73, and then this is supposed to take place like 76.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like right down the line.
It was interesting because like with Licorice Pizza, we were kind of like comparing the we kind of went into it without knowing too much about the movie. We went into it with the mindset of like, okay, Tarantino did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then this is Paul Thomas Anderson doing his like Hollywood thing, but the amount of time, the span of time that separates them is pretty vast.
Yeah, Tarantino's like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was like on the inside, like trying to make their way because you got Cooper Hoffman is I want to say like is his name like Jim Valentine, Terry Valentine.
Yeah, oh man, like we just saw the movie and I forget. I remember the Valentine part. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's
Freddie Valentine.
Val Valentine.
Yeah, we'll have to dub it in post. But the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman. I almost said Philip Seymour Hoffman. I always think that was safe.
That's amazing. It's like I think he signs in checks like he's trying to sign into a hotel in an alias. It's like Seaman Philip Hoffmore.
Mm-hmm. He's like a mini me of his dad.
He is. He has that presence. A big dude. I think he was 18. His character is 15, but I think he's 18 when they made the movie.
Okay.
It's his debut too. Like, it's like you gotta love it. We love it's like Hollywood royalty.
Yeah.
It's like you come out of the gate and you're in a fucking Paul Thomas. You know.
When we were watching in the end credits, it's like they're listing all the names, and it was like all these like so and so Jr. and you know like all these like
Tim Conway
Jr. Yeah, Harvey Korman III was in there.
He's like Rock Ridge. It's the Carol Burnett show like squared.
What was it, Lyle Wagner?
Oh yeah,
Lyle Wagner Jr.
Max Brooks shows up. Yeah, you're right. And then even PTA, it was a Ghouliardi production.
Yeah, it was a Ghouliardi production. Yeah, a Ghouliardi production, and Mrs. Paul Thomas Anderson was in it. Maya Rudolph. It was like this huge ensemble, and like we reviewed the trailer, and like the trailer was great. It was like a great trailer, and it's like, like a cast of thousands as you see. But then like some people. Like Maya Rudolph are just in it for like a second, but like super memorable and
great role. You got Alana Haim is the lead, and I gotta say, I think she should be nominated for Best Actress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
what a debut performance!
Yeah, she carries the movie and the whole like Haim family because like her family is all in it. Her dad, her sisters. and like they need their own spin-off. Like there needs to be like a Haim family movie or like a sitcom or something, you know.
Just the six of us, or it's like the Haims.
Yeah. Home with the Haims.
Home with the
Hanging with the Haims. Hanging with Mr. Haim.
It's like the Partridge Family, like the new Partridge Family.
And, you know, like, having that kind of stuff in it, like having, like, a real family as a family, like, it lends some credibility to it. You see, like, a commonality in like, you know, the look of the family. You know, it's not like a family that's, like, cast.
Yeah, cast family, or they have, like, a comfort with each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was, like, you were in that family dynamic, like, immediately. You know.
And that's a good point too. Casting, not really non-actors, but like, well, yeah, a non-actor in Alana Haim, who's really, this is her first movie, and then Cooper, a rookie, gives them like an air of authenticity too. It's like it's like, oh, they captured real people on screen.
Well, I mean, you know what gave them authenticity is they had real teeth. Like, they didn't get their Hollywood choppers yet. Like, hopefully they don't get Hollywood choppers.
Yeah.
But, like, that was like, some credibility seeing, like, real teeth.
Check out my new choppers, Tom.
You are my number one.
You are my number one.
The freshman.
Or it's like Val Kilmer from Top Gun. When he snaps his teeth, they all fall out of his mouth. He's like, "You're dangerous." And then they crack and fall.
Yeah, it's like Warner Brothers or something. Where it's like ding, 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 like one, you know, they fall in like a funny rhythm.
It's after the coyote gets smashed on the head with a mallet or something, and he's like. Then they all fall out.
First, like one or two, and then a cascade of teeth.
You're dangerous, Maverick. Check out my... Notice anything different, Tom? I had my teeth pulled and had these installed.
You know what was interesting was seeing Sean Penn as like the grizzled old Hollywood guy.
Oh yeah,
you know, like he's got all his anecdotes and he's a tough guy and it's like completely like fake and you can't, and there's no person that like he's gonna go into his spiel and like no matter what you say or like he's just gonna keep barreling on with it, not even, you know, like he's not in the room at all.
He steamrolls her the whole time, even to the point where she's like on the motorcycle, she gets dumped off. It's like and forgotten.
A similar kind of setting and stuff, and to like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but like Tarantino is so like into like genre and combining genre and stuff, and this movie was like, you know, was like non-genre. I don't like, you know, it got some tension by teasing certain things, but they were all like red herrings. You know, it was like it never like. Nothing. Nobody ever pulled out a gun. You know, nothing ever like. There was never like a karate fight or, you know.
You're so right. I was tense.
Yeah, there was some tension. Yeah,
because I was wondering. You're right. It's like the anti-genre movie where like the whole time I'm like, oh god, it's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Somebody's gonna fight the big one here, or something bad's gonna happen. But like, no, it was.
Yeah, it was kind of like. It was a really, it was just like a really well put together movie. It feels to me like, you know, he might have gone into it not knowing exactly what the through line was going to be, what the story was, just has all these like characters and watch them sort of bounce off each other. And then he kind of found it, because the movie, it's like, it's very, like it looks like effortless. Like it looks like it just, everything just kind of comes together. It didn't feel like forced or manufactured in any way. It was just like you're just like under its spell, you know.
It was a long movie and it felt like it went by in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
All the craft he puts into it, it looks gorgeous. You felt like you were I guess is in Encino, and like his like. That's his like area where he grew up, like Boogie Nights area. You felt like
they I have to admit I'm not a fan of Magnolia. Like I didn't like it when it came out, his debut thing, and like like for me, Magnolia was so heavy-handed and so like relentless and like in your face and just like, you know, kind of shrill. And this was like, so that's like a sort of like young, showy director.
Yeah.
And then this was like a relaxed, confident, you know, confident in his craft, confident in his process, and just kind of like staying out of the way, kind of. And
a
like
master.
Master. It was masterful. And we're kind of seeing that. We're seeing this like generation of filmmakers who, you know, were very flashy and very splashy at the beginning of their career, kind of making their mature works. And so, you know, you got Tarantino, you got Paul Thomas Anderson, you have Wes Anderson with and the French Dispatch.
Another
very
one.
Similar, like just really like low key, relaxed, confident. You know, you don't feel the hand of the director as much as you would have in some of the earlier works, and you're just able to kind of like absorb. There's nothing between you and
that's
the subject matter.
You know? You're right. A younger filmmaker might have felt he had to like
announce his presence. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God! Here somebody comes in like with a gun or something.
Yeah, because that was and I know, like, I'm sure this was conscious too. He would have these things where it's like, okay, is that going to be is this going to be the guy who shoots everybody, or is this going to be the guy who shoots
something going to happen with the truck or something?
Yeah, exactly. Is this where everybody goes to jail? Is this where somebody gets killed? Is this where, you know? And it's like, it's you know, it's not about that, you know.
Yeah.
Like it kind of gooses the narrative and gives it like a little extra jolt that makes you kind of pay attention, but you know where it takes you, because it does, like, it's a movie about the 70s, takes place in the 70s, has like captures the 70s look really great, and the colors, the palette, and you have the era, you have like the gasoline shortage, which I heard about from my parents. Like my dad, you know, he had to buy a bike so he could ride his bike to work. Because like when I would hear about that era, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. Like long lines at the gas station, that's what you'd hear. But then seeing like the reality of it, where like it's just like all backed up. You know, we can see sort of like modern day equivalents. Like it, you know, again, even these period pieces are made, you know, for a modern audience. They're made for us. They're speaking to us and our concerns. So I could see like a little bit of that too. This sense that like, you know, the social order is crumbling, and yeah.
I wouldn't have made it, Tom, because I can't. I lose it whenever I just fall apart when the pump is available and my gas cap's on the opposite side.
Yeah.
So the gas shortage, I wouldn't have made it through.
Like my dad is like the most unathletic person you'd ever meet. So like hearing stories that he, like, it was so bad that he had to get on a bike, you know, and ride a bike to work. Like I've never seen him on a bike in my life, but like we had that bike. It's like, oh yeah, that's the bike I got so I could you know, ride to work during the gas shortage. It's like I never once saw him riding on it. Didn't, you know, as soon as the gas started, as soon as the spice started flowing again, he was. Yeah, there's like Bradley Cooper's character in it, like he made a big splash in the trailer because he was like swinging around hammers or something, and then they didn't have that. They had that scene in the end credits, but he was like a wild card. You're like, what is happening with this guy? And it's like, okay, maybe this is the guy who's gonna like kill everybody. Yeah,
John Peters, the famous Batman producer.
Yeah, is John Peters still alive?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was wondering, because like it seemed like there was a lot of stuff in that movie that was not flattering. So
I was gonna say, I was thinking that the whole time, because I was like, okay, if I'm a guy in the world and there's this fucking like, this movie's gonna last forever.
Yeah, and the character was pretty out there, you know.
Yeah.
So like, unless John Peters, maybe he's a producer on the movie, and he's telling all these like wild stories, you know.
He might be the guy that Kevin Smith was doing the spider story. We talked about like the Superman story.
Yeah. Talking about like the giant spider. Like is John Peters the guy who said you have to have a giant spider, or no? That was somebody else. That was the guy who's asses on seats. The guy who's all about asses in seats. What asses in seats? I forget the guy. Joel Silver, maybe.
I remember that John Peters hearing and reading that he was like, he's a Hollywood guy, but he's like, he's from the neighborhood or whatever. So when he was like talking to Cooper Hoffman, he was like, wait a second. you're from the streets, aren't you?
Just like me.
Just like me. You're a real ass guy, aren't you?
Now, when his character shows up and he's like, I'm married to Barbara Streisand, I thought he was playing the guy from the other like I thought he was playing Chris Christopherson from
A Star is Born.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, this is great. It's Bradley Cooper, who was in A Star is Born, playing
Chris Christopherson,
who played the stars, because it was kind of that look,
oh, it was
that like hair and stuff,
and you could tell he like his character
beard,
just he's like
this like all white outfit.
Yeah, then he's driving that Ferrari around. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought he was gonna kill everybody.
Yeah, that was like that's what was so like that this movie, like it was so good the way he would set up they'd set up tension, and then like take a while to resolve it. You know, like they set some things in motion, and it's like do it because first it's like don't fuck up my house, and then they're filling up the waterbed, and the waterbed's almost full, and then he's like, fuck this guy, and he like
pulls the hose out.
I was like, oh no, and then it's like they run into him coming up the street, and it's like, oh no, like they kept it going for a while, you know. You really thought like, you know,
it hurt me because I was like, oh my god, the water damage is going to be outrageous. That carpet is going to be ruined. It's like it's going to soak through to the first level, and like
yeah, these are great ways to like build suspense and excitement without like CGI and a lot of pyro. You know.
That truck scene was pretty wild, which he had to go do a backwards drive with no gas down a winding road.
Yeah, it is kind of like it's like, you know, do you want to follow the story of these people? You know, and it's kind of carried by just like the, you know, the charisma or whatever of the two leads. You know,
Amazing.
and it's like yeah, these are two like very well chosen actors to like, you know, carry a movie.
Perfect casting.
Yeah.
It's like you could have put it into like a computer and it wouldn't have like spit them out. It's like only the master would have picked this.
It like I really liked I get it, the master. You know, I really and I liked when Lucille Ball shows up and stuff.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, we are in Hollywood. Like this is like, you know.
That actress I recognize her as she was the villain from the Chris Farley movie Black Sheep. Okay. I can't remember her.
She was good as Lucy, and it's like she didn't have red hair. Like she had like blonde hair and stuff, but it was still like, that's Lucille Ball, you know. And Nicole Kidman is currently plays Lucy in the Ricardos.
I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm you know, like 3/4 of the way through it. It's really good.
She's like, I'm gonna cast you as Little Ricky or whatever. Right. He's a child actor, and he went into business for himself during the promos.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he went into business for himself. He starts a bunch of businesses, and then in the promo he goes into business for himself and hits Lucy with a pillow. And what she does when he hits her with the pillow, kind of like the face she makes and stuff, it seems like she makes it seem like it's part of the show, you know, like she's, you know, it like all these little nuances, you know, that like, oh, she's such a pro, she can like recover, and then she's like letting them have it behind
backstage.
The scenes.
Mm-hmm. And like Alana Haim's performance, like so many PTA does a lot of close-ups, and like her features changing, like if I was acting,
great control of her face, you know,
and if PTA was like, okay, you got to be you're gonna shoot your close up a bunch of times, that's talent there. Because I would need I don't know how they do it. I would have to have a monitor in front of my face to see what I'm like making. It's like, how do you know what you're fucking doing?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like you know, you got the skill of the performers, and then the casting and the direction, you know. You know, and it is like there's to these kind of things, there's like an element of like Moneyball or whatever, of like figuring out like who's like an underutilized talent or whatever. And like I'd love to know like how he sort of spotted you know, that, you know, how he was like he saw her in like a video or something, or maybe saw her in a live performance. I was like, okay, she really knows how to emote or, you know, communicate with just gesture.
I think he might have directed a Haim music video maybe along the way somewhere.
That's cool.
And Cooper Hoffman too. I like that he left like his acne on his face and stuff.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean that's part of the character too.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, keeping it real here.
And it's like all of this stuff has to be like deliberate. But like there's like a scene where he's like wearing this like white suit and stuff, and you're like, okay, he's wearing a white, like that's the sacrificial lamb. Like that suit is going to get splashed with blood or shit, or but like you put on a white suit so you can splash it with something.
You're right. I was thinking like Tony Montana. Was his suit white? I can't remember in Scarface. He's like, don't get high on your own supply, Cooper. Yeah, like and then his little crew that was rolling around with him reminded me of Max Fisher from Rushmore, where he has like somebody's the note taker, like his little I mean, because
he's doing like this movie's like a 70s period piece or whatever, and it felt like that kind of stuff felt like the Bad News Bears or whatever, where it's like all these kids with no like grown up, like like where's the parent or whatever, making sure, like, so it's like all these kids, like in Bad News Bears would be all these kids like getting drunk and smoking and driving and in this it's like all these kids like starting businesses.
Yeah, and he hears about the pinball, like the pinball. I didn't realize there was a ban on pinball games in like.
Yeah, that was a little interesting history and stuff, and how it was like.
He got the
he got the inside scoop, and it's like, she's like, hey, like I'm trying to change the world here, and you're just like, ooh, pinball's making a comeback. I could be the first guy with a pinball thing, and it was making me think of like, okay, arcades and so, like the genesis of like a couple years, 2 years later, they're going to be having like Pac-Man in there.
He's on the vanguard of that.
Yeah, it is kind of, like you can have fun like with that kind of stuff, because it was also like, oh, he's like going to be one of the first waterbed retailers, and so, like you can have fun with those kind of things. Like it makes me think of like that movie with Billy Bob Thornton that like the Coen brothers did. It was like The Man Who Wasn't There or something. It was something like that, but it was like dry cleaning. Like he was going to be the first guy to do dry cleaning.
He's got the waterbeds like freak me out, because somehow like I would think that like there's a like a tunnel for like a shark under it. Yeah. And the shark would like somehow come up through the waterbed and like eat me.
Well, that's like my cousin had a waterbed, and like
I don't like them.
There were all these like looking back, like I thought they were just facts, but maybe it was like urban legend kind of stuff, because it was like, oh yeah, if the heater for the waterbed somehow shorts out in the middle of the night, you'll die because the cold water will suck all the heat out of your body.
I heard there's there's
so I don't know if that's true or not. Like
I heard the urban legend like with the waterbeds are in that like frame, and if the waterbed like leaks, or you'll like flood the bed, and you'll be in the bed and drowned.
You'll drown. You'll get electrocuted. And then there's those like Freddy Krueger scenes or whatever of like people in like a water.
Yes.
But yeah, of course you think there's like a shark in there.
Yeah, I would like it's like I think that like it's like, damn it, why do we hook the waterbed up to the tunnel to the large chamber of water beneath the house, but the shark is gonna fucking come up through, eat me in the waterbed. So
well, especially like it's something you sleep on. So like in the light of day, it's like, oh, that's a silly idea. That's ridiculous. You wouldn't believe that in a million years. But when you're starting to drift off to sleep, I could see it like being like, wait, there's a shark, and then you wake yourself up.
That's like my like main point. I tell that to the person that likes the waterbed place. This fucking guy.
Yeah. It's like I get it, but when you're half asleep, that it's like anything's possible in your mind.
Yeah, like they're like, are you sure you didn't hook that waterbed up to the tower of water?
They didn't address any of that stuff in the movie, so I think maybe we're okay.
I'm like, Paul, I asked him that at like Comic-Con or something.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. They had like the teen convention or whatever. It was like a teen expo. Yeah. And then it's like it did remind me of like comic conventions and stuff. Everybody's just rolling in their little gimmick, and then it's like yeah, you bring in your waterbed, and then you have like a girl in like a bathing suit to model like, it.
Yeah,
stuff, it's like, how do you arrange all this stuff? But I guess like in LA, that's not a big deal at all.
Yeah, there's like you go down to like Venice Beach or whatever, and there's like all these like failed actors.
Right.
You could just it's the new Whack Pack.
And then they like they're at the radio station and they're doing their commercial, and then they run to their office, where like their rotary phones are like ringing, and then they're answering, and like
it felt great. Like man, it's like analog shit. It's like you got to get shit done just by like talking to people and like getting to where you like calling people on the phone and stuff.
You know, it is kind of like there, you know,
Hustling.
There's like wish fulfillment in kind of like, you know, doing a movie that takes place in like a different era or whatever. All kinds of like plot things that don't work in the age of like cell phones and stuff. So it's like, you know, Paul Thomas Anderson could be like, you know what? I think maybe I could finish the rest of my career and like never have to make something where like a cell phone is like, you know, part of the plot, because I can just keep making these period pieces.
Holy shit! I mean, that like, I'm 100% on board with you, because I love the Friday the 13th series, and I always think that when they make new ones, or like when someone writes a new screenplay, they should fucking just only set them in the 80s, where the cell phones aren't around.
That was what was kind of cool about Grindhouse, was that they were these period pieces, but they still like integrated like, you know, smartphones and stuff into it.
Yeah, because like,
I guess not smartphones. It was still like the cell phones with like the janky texting and
your Palm Trio.
But it's still like, if those movies, you know, were like all rotary phones and stuff, you'd still, you know, you'd be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Even like Licorice Pizza, I didn't know a ton about it. I saw the trailer, but for a little bit there, it's like, okay, well, maybe this isn't a period piece. Maybe it like kind of looks like the 70s, but then maybe we'll see somebody, you know, doing but then, you know, it was a period.
He pulls out his like the cell phone on like the bag, like the briefcase cell phone, with the buttons like on the back of it.
There was like another, again, it's like all these kind of 70s films, and so much of film is pastiche. So much of film is kind of like a patchwork of things, and so I felt some like Taxi Driver in there too, and especially with like the election stuff with like the candidate and stuff, and The Office, and like her relationship with that one guy in The Office kind of reminded me of like Sybil Shepherd and Albert Brooks. And then, so then when there was that guy kind of like stalking around the periphery, it's like, okay, yeah, this is the Travis Bickle guy, you know, he's got the Dahmer look.
The Jeffrey Dahmer look. We were talking about the football jersey that it's not related to any particular team.
yeah. He like, thinking of it now, it was the Dahmer. It was the Dahmer look, because he had the like aviator glasses. He had the kind of blonde hair. He was tall. Like he was totally Dahmer. Like that was some good casting and costuming and stuff. But yeah, he walks into the office and it did look like a guy. Dude, what's going on in here? The Joe Walsh voice. Hey man, what's going on in here? I'm putting on Animals on 8-track by Pink Floyd, man.
Hey man, hey you big pig! I lost my lighter, dude. Is anybody? I got a toke up outside. Has anybody got a light? They're like, no. They're like, well, if you need me, I'll be blasting the animals out there. If anyone who wants to come out and vibe. All right, man.
Some Uriah Heep. We got some Heep going.
If you need me, I'm gonna be blasting a sheep out there.
Yeah, he's got the car with the amazing sound system. Like he's invested like every dollar that's come into his life into the sound system in his muscle car.
The people from the election place come out and they're like hanging out. And they're like, this sounds amazing. This shit kicker he's driving.
It would be a good callback to Boogie Nights with like the stereo store.
Oh yes.
I mean, there were a lot of characters who like, you know, inhabit their own world, and again, like the Haim family. It was like, okay, I could watch a whole movie of just this. I could watch a whole movie of Maya Rudolph's casting office, and like there's just great subtle stuff that like, you know, you get it without it hitting you over the head, but it's like he's there for an audition. Everybody knows him. All the people sitting next to him are like 2 feet small. It's all like little kids, and then him, and he's wearing like a, you know, Young Rascals like jacket or whatever, and then he's auditioning, and it's like he's way too old. He's been doing this stuff for too long. He's at the end of his sort of child actor career, and he's gonna have to figure out the next thing, and you know, and they're all like all the people who are interviewing him and stuff. They're like saying all the nice stuff. Hey, how have you been? Oh, it's great to see you again. And then they're kind of like rolling their eyes at each other.
Yeah, like, fuck that. Man, that's like some true to life. rejection shit in that.
I wonder if that Sean, because that like I don't like again like with Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and with this, some of these names come in. I'm like, okay, is that like a real guy, or is that just like a made up guy? So like, I don't know if Sean Penn's character was like a real guy or not, but he seemed like a Jack Lord, or like one of those kind of characters.
And you're right.
He was like Jack something, but he seemed like one of those like where like the character that Leo DiCaprio plays in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's a guy who's like stuck in the 50s. And now we've moved on. Flower power's happened, disco's happening, and this guy's still like
he's got his pompadour.
Yeah, he's got his 50s Elvis hair, and he's like,
yeah, you're right. And then he holds court and like forgets about her, and his I think was Tom Waits' character his director.
Yeah,
buddy?
He was the director. Yeah, and so he's directing this like Evel Knievel style jump. Yeah, I mean, he's just got his like spiel and his tough guy act, and like nothing anybody says is gonna like derail this like script he's got, and then he's acting like people are saying the things that they're lines, but they're not. He's just kind of like railroading them and stuff. And then and then he does like a stunt, like an Evel Knievel style stunt.
I'm a sucker for anything, any like. An Evel Knievel, like a motorcycle jump. We got to do our either like our Stuntman episode or like an Evel Knievel episode.
Who was like? Did you recognize the actress who was like that casting director? Like when she went in and he's like, just say yes to everything.
Oh, she was great.
She was great because
so good.
Like she'd keep again with close-ups and her face. She'd keep doing this stuff where you think she's gonna say, "Get the fuck out of my office," but then she's like, "Yeah,
I like you. I like the cut of your jib."
Yeah.
She's like, "You're a fighter, aren't you? You're a fucking fighter." That is true. I mean, I have actually absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
But I've heard that like when you go audition, you just make shit up because
that like especially in Hollywood where it's all about the surface and all about like. What you're projecting and like the actual like reality of things is completely inconsequential. It's just all about like, am I convinced? So even like if you are lying, if you're like lying good enough, then it's like, oh, this person, this is the right person for the job.
It's the Chris Angel, the sword swallowing story. It's like, can you do professional regurgitating? And I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, she shows up to that audition with her guitar, with like her sister's guitar.
Oh yeah.
And like again, like I don't know how much cutting room floor stuff there is with this movie, like how tightly it was written or whatever, but it's like I could imagine like a scene where it's like she shows up with a guitar, has no idea how to play it, and then like has to bluff her way
that
through.
would have been fucking
especially
fantastic.
being like a musician in real life, it's kind of
oh, that would be great too. Once again, another I'm always interested too in like she has to bluff her way through. Like, pro actor, whenever they have to act like they don't know how to act, I'm always interested in what they think bad acting or non-acting.
Yeah, and that is a real trick too to figure that out. Like I guess like so much of the movie and just like tension in cinema is like somebody who's like in over their head, who's like digging a hole for themselves, keeps digging it deeper and deeper and deeper. And there was a lot of that in that movie, and that was just like one of like many examples.
What a fucking great movie.
It was inspiring too, just in the way of like, how they keep putting these businesses together.
I know,
and then kind of like amp them up, where it's like, okay, now they're just selling these like little boxes with the plastic waterbed mattress in it, and then it's like, okay, we got to build some frames, we got to do delivery, we got to like. I was kind of like, yeah, I could start a business.
Yeah, like we do like sea monkeys or like sell the blueprints for those hovercrafts.
Yeah.
Or what's the guy, Count Dante or what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything that's in a comic book. Yeah, that like so much good stuff because it was like he's selling waterbeds, and then you have the scene where they're loading up the truck and they're just stacking these tiny boxes, and it's like, is that what they're selling? Like
yeah, like I don't know where what number of film it is in his filmography, but I don't think he's made any PTA's made any claims about like
this will
hanging
be my
it
last
up or
one
like
or whatever.
stopping.
Yeah, like the hole that Quentin Tarantino dug for himself.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's working out because he's like a dad now and stuff, and it's like, and again, like
other stuff.
It's
novels.
Like, yeah, you can keep yourself busy with a career as an author, like,
heck yeah,
no reason not to.
We'll have to do there's the deluxe edition of the book. There's a whole script for
for an episode of Bounty Law. I'm excited about that. Yeah,
and
I heard it, like his episode with Conan O'Brien.
That's a great episode.
It was kind of cool hearing those two talking about how like they're into the same stuff, and like they kind of realized that early on, which was interesting because I never really thought about it, but it's like, oh yeah, because like when Conan O'Brien took over the Tonight Show briefly, like one of his running gags was like he had this like Fonzie wax museum figure that was and he would do Fonzie at the urinal. He'd like
dude, I fucking would record Conan O'Brien so much. Like I love all his characters. We got to do a Conan O'Brien tribute. Like,
yeah, I'd like to do particularly his Tonight Show because I loved his Tonight Show, and I was so like bummed when it ended because it was like finally there was like a talk show that wasn't too late that I could like enjoy and stuff, and it was such a bummer because it did keep me company. Like I'd be working and stuff and have it on, and it was like, oh great, something
perfect time slot. All the characters that, like, on late night, though, there was, like,
the classic
Vomiting
stuff,
Kermit, the Coked Up Werewolf, Preparation H. Harry. There was that...
Well, we were talking, like, the thing that is, like, kind of the commonality, we were talking about, like, Look Well.
Yes.
And so it's like Conan O'Brien having Happy Days The Next Generation, and then Tarantino having T.J. Hooker The Next Generation.
Oh, holy shit, they didn't even break that another... fucking Conan Quentin synergy.
Yeah, and in that interview they were talking about like their William Shatner, how what a bummer it was watching like after Star Trek gets canceled and stuff, watching shows where Shatner shows up as the villain and just gets like beat up by the hero, the swinging dick, and like it's like that's Captain Kirk.
Well, I've been watching some Columbo recently.
Okay, yeah. There's aren't there like multiple
Shatner Columbo? There was it's the one Shatner where he's a villain in both of them, but it's like the one where
does one he have a goatee?
I think he has a mustache in one. It was where he like it was the whole gimmick was the high tech. He had a VCR, and he was able to record a baseball game. He had a beta recording device, and he filmed a baseball game and like had a guy like his buddy get drunk and think he was watching the game live.
Game. Okay, I remember that as like a gimmick in detective shows like back in the day. Yeah,
it was like, holy shit! Wait, you can record something? It was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that would be like. The first Mission Impossible movie or something. They have a guy in a room. They got a VCR.
VCR, yeah, and then because in like Rising Sun with Sean Connery and Snipes, the whole it's like Michael Crichton's always on like the cutting edge of technology, but the thing in that is it's like they have. You mean you've got Photoshop? It was like Photoshop was the and DVD. It was DVDs before DVDs, and it's like what is this? Digital video dish.
There's like The Sting, that classic movie, The Sting. It's like, where they have they set up like a fake betting establishment, so that like a fake horse racing or whatever, where they have they get the results like a little bit ahead of like they tap the wire or whatever. And it's like I could picture something like that, but with like a VCR where they're showing the game and they're like betting on it, and already.
Oh, that's a great.
I know I've seen it.
That'd be a great one. We have to. It's like a dream episode.
Well, there was like the one Cheers episode with Harry the Hat, and it was kind of like a Sting riff, like they were doing like a riff on the Sting, betting on like a show that they already like taped.
That's incredible. Like. Harry the Hat was that a precursor to Night Court?
He was Harry the Hat there before he was Harry.
Love Night Court.
Or whatever on Night Court.
It's like I love Harry. Not Harry Dean Stanton, not Harry Tasker. That's Schwarzenegger's character from True Lies.
Howdy from work. Now, how did we get on that? What were we talking about?
Oh, it was Harry from Night Court. I can't remember his real last name.
Harry Anderson.
Harry Anderson.
Harry Anderson. Yeah, and that's right. That was a long, circuitous route. But yeah, Harry. I like the idea in Night Court. I like the idea of being up super late.
Yes.
Because like they're all up super late, and then they have that like cafeteria. So like the idea of it being like 2 a.m. and you can get like something to eat
and the newsstand.
Yeah.
It was Night Court once again. Watching my grandmother's a ton. It was a fever dream where I was like awake. I'm like, is this real? Am I really watching Night Court? Like
because it had the video quality of like a daytime drama or something.
Yes.
Like, it looked like a soap opera, but yeah, it's prime time and a comedy.
I loved Mac's sweater vests.
Yeah.
And then Dan Fielding.
Mm-hmm.
I remember for some reason he had like his like
he had like an amazing mullet.
Larroquette, Marky Post,
and she had a mullet too.
She had a mullet too. Shoulder pads. Bull Shannon.
Yeah, no hair.
Roz. Marshall Warfield's character, Roz, and then I also like the lady that was the precursor
that Marshall Warfield replaced because like the actress died. You know, it was one of those things Coach, where Coach from Cheers, where it's like that. You know, they have the older member of the cast, and then that cast member dies. You know,
I appreciate that Marshall Warfield was like a hot comedic comedy, a hot comedic commodity, where she was in like everything in like that time frame. She was on Empty Nest too.
Yeah, she was, and she was part of. She was part of like the stand-up comedy boom.
Yeah,
she'd be on all those stand-up shows.
Yeah, great. She's so funny, and then like, the Night Court. What a great template.
You know, I mean, speaking of like 80s and stuff like Betty White passing, the last Golden Girl.
I know. Oh my gosh. I love Golden Girls so much. QT starred on an episode of Golden Girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He was an Elvis impersonator.
Yeah. I put the word lanai into my vocabulary.
Always think about the lanai.
Lanai.
Yeah, lanai and chocolate cheesecake. Like I didn't even know there was any such thing as chocolate cheesecake until the Golden Girls.
Or like I felt that their house would be like an extension of my when I was in the 20s. It's like, oh yeah, we know them. We can just go over and like
hang out, get something out of the refrigerator, have those midnight snacks with them.
Yeah, and like the
I'll have a chocolate cheesecake.
I'll have a chocolate cheesecake.
That was my Ms. B. Arthur.
Wait, there was something I was watching.
The Star Wars holiday special with Ms. B. Arthur.
So good. Joe Isuzu was in it because I'm thinking Empty Nest.
Yeah, Empty Nest.
He was just in. Oh, it was a
an Isuzu commercial.
He comes over and eats. Doesn't ask. Opens the refrigerator.
Yeah, that's just rude. Opening somebody's refrigerator door. So yeah, I mean, you ready to bring this one home?
Yeah.
Licorice Pizza is what we started out talking about. Yeah.
Harry Anderson was in another TV movie called Spies, Lies, and Naked Thighs.
That's a great title.
Yeah, and that was like I only know him from that.
That must have been like a reference to Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Probably,
which was like
Soderbergh, like that's around the same time.
And that movie, like, you know, some titles to movies just become like punchlines. So that was like every like late night host or whatever have some kind of sex, lies, and like that would be like a Karnak or something. Sex, lies, and videotape. Sex, lies, and videotape.
I wanted Karnak's hat.
Yeah,
it looked.
I wonder what happened to it. It's probably in. Yeah, it looked like you could sleep on it.
Yeah. I thought it would look so comfy and like. I would. Yeah, Noni would be like, "Want to watch some Johnny Carson,
mm-hmm.
Ed McMahon."
Yeah. Ed McMuffin.
He's like, now at McDonald's, the Egg McMuffin is the Ed McMuffin. And he's like, what? He's like, eating it. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I'll take it.
With his shades from like the Colonial Penn life insurance commercial or whatever he was.
You're great. He's like, he's like, Johnny, I got 2 Egg McMuffins. And would you cut?
Yoo-hoo. Talking about I mean, Johnny Carson was sort of like a famous plagiarist, and like that, and I think like when you have a late night show, you burn through content, like you're so desperate for content that like that just ends up happening. But like so he stole like characters from what's it from Jonathan Winters and stuff.
Oh my
I think
God.
Karnak was something that he stole
no.
too. I think. Yeah, so Licorice Pizza, a classic. It's like a new classic. Like I came out of that movie, just felt great, and like just this great cinematic experience, and just like one for the ages. And again, not like doesn't adhere to like any kind of like template, or it's just like its own like organic thing.
Yeah, and we're so lucky we have Quentin and PTA like making movies right now.
Like I've been
era.
seeing so many great movies lately, and I do wonder if like one of the things that sort of came out of like cinema, being on hold for a while, was that it kind of gave some movies like some extra time to like really perfect the edit or something, because like this movie was like flawless. And I could see if there was like maybe like a rushed schedule or something where you could maybe like cut some corners, but it was like just great.
You had mentioned possible deleted. Like I want to see all the everything that's like trimmed. I'm like any extra stuff because I'm here for.
Yeah, it felt like this like world that you're just kind of getting a glimpse of. Just real told with real authority.
We. Grab yourself a slice of licorice pizza.
Yeah, they had pizza at the theater and they had licorice, but nobody partook.
Yeah, gotta blast some Uriah.
Yeah. So, you've been watching the Total Recall Show. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and Fantastic Four Grand Design.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Scioli, on Instagram at Tom_Scioli, and check out my Patreon, where you can see, various comics that I'm working on.
Follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb.
And we'll see you next time. We'll see you at the movies.
At the movies.